Hi, Catherine. Thank you very much for joining me, and congratulations on your recent European Women Legal Tech 2020 win. And I think to start with, could you just give us a bit of background about sort of your career to date? That would be really useful.
Thank you, of course. I started my current career, as I refer to it, as a lawyer at St Masons. I was in the real estate team there. When I was about 4 years qualified, I was asked to help the team with document automation, so the automated drafting of legal contracts, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So that was like kind of the early days of legal technology, and I saw the benefits that we were going to get just through something as simple as document automation. So I approached the firm and I said, rather than me going back to being a practicing lawyer working for clients every day, can I roll out this type of legal technology? Very luckily, they said yes. And it started from there. So we then grew the team at St Masons, and I helped to manage the team there of legal engineers. And about 3 years later, I think it was, I started to realize I was getting a lot of interest from other law firms saying, would you like to come and work for us? Would you like to help us? How have you done what you've managed to do at St Masons? So I thought there's a business here, there's a consultancy here. So that was when I set up BamLegal. BamLegal is what I do now. That was 7 years ago now. And BamLegal is a legal technology, legal engineering consultancy. So we help lots of law firms all over the world to implement and use legal technology.
That's great, thank you. So in terms of your transition from like St Masons from being a fee-earning lawyer to like implementing the technology firm-wide, what were the sort of initial problems that you sort of saw in your day job as a lawyer that legal technology could solve?
Yeah, of course. So the thing that we started with, I was in the real estate team, and there's a lot that we did in real estate that was repetitive, that we didn't go to law school to do. You know, it wasn't this stuff that was really taxing for our brain. So, for example, if we were acting for landlords and they had a new tenant going to lease one of their properties, a commercial real estate lawyer has to draft a lease, quite often a rent deposit deed, quite often a license for alterations, and 2 or 3 other documents. So it's not just one legal contract, it's about 7. And information such as the landlord and tenant's names, the property address, what the rent's going to be paid, and all those things go into all 7 of those documents. So we were just looking at ways that we could speed up that type of thing so that the lawyers only have to insert it once and then they get all 7 documents. So we looked for things like that, things that were repetitive, high volume, that our lawyers didn't go to law school to do and was really more admin tasks. And then we looked at to see if there was technology that could improve it.
That sounds great, thank you. And in terms of like the adoption rate of the technology, did you find that it was quite high, and did it kind of vary between departments, like your real estate department and then others?
Great question, Amy, really good question. Definitely varies between departments. I've now since found also varies between law firms. A lot of it is cultural. A lot of it, so whether it's quite a forward-thinking, dynamic law firm, so the type of firms, for example, that have technology clients, they seem to be a lot, so if they're advising their clients on the latest and leading technology and doing like cutting edge intellectual property work, they tend to be a lot more up for using legal technology than a niche, bespoke practice that has some traditional partners that still charge by the hour and don't really look at new models and that kind of thing. So definitely depends on culture, type of law firm, type of clients. The transactional teams, definitely I would say legal technology is the starting place, is of most benefit probably, and that's the easiest place to start, would be with transactional teams. With litigation does tend to be a little bit more bespoke, but there's, then with litigation you have things like e-discovery. So with every team there is a conversation to be had about what is it that you do, how do you do it, what is it that you do every day that you wish there was a better way to do. And that's where, if you start the conversation that way, then normally there is some form of process improvement through technology that can help.
Great, thank you. And maybe if we move on now to BamLegal and your setting up of that. I know you already sort of mentioned your motivations for that and that there was kind of a business there. But also, did you find the transition from working for a law firm to working for yourself like difficult, or was it kind of quite seamless?
Was it difficult? Difficult is definitely not the word. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found the whole thing really, really exciting. A lot of people were like, oh, you're very brave to go out, to leave a comfortable career with a comfortable salary, with things like, pension and benefits and that kind of stuff that you get from being an employee, to suddenly being your own boss, never knowing where the next paycheck's coming from, and it could all dry up and stop tomorrow. But I think I'm the type of person that would rather risk it than always wonder what if. So I found it hugely exciting. I think I was in the right place at the right time, that everyone was very, very interested in legal technology at the time. And I've been really lucky to have worked with the team I worked with at Vincent Masons, who, were known as a really innovative law firm and were doing great things at that time. So that gave me this wonderful experience and springboard to leap off into the unknown.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. In terms of like legal technology in general, like obviously having worked for a law firm and like sort of done it yourself for a consultancy, and I know you've sort of worked for government organisations as well. What do you think like kind of each different player can kind of learn from each other in terms of their implementation of legal tech?
I think that everyone needs to share more examples of what they're doing, because I speak to a lot of large corporates and in-house legal teams, and they tell me, all our law firms are coming and saying, we've got something new to show you, and it's kind of similar, but it's not exactly what we need. You've got all the law firms looking at what technology to use and struggling to keep up with what's new, what's out there, what should we be looking at. You have regulation bodies like the SRA, you have associations like legal technology associations, you have the Society for Computers of Law. It's really difficult now. There's a lot of noise and it's difficult for everyone to keep up. And I think there's a lot of really good that has come from there being so much noise and hype and PR and everyone being excited about legal tech, but it's also been a little bit detrimental in terms of everyone thinks what everyone else is doing is better, and everyone wants the next shiny new thing to try and win an innovation award. But actually, it means that people aren't focusing on, is it really solving the problem for the client? The clients aren't working with, what if a client worked with their entire panel of law firms to say, let's come up with a solution together that we can all feed into? I think we'd get a lot further, a lot faster if people shared use cases and examples of what they're doing, what they experimented with, what they tried, what worked, what didn't, what failed. We can learn so much from failure, and no one shares their failure because of the PR. And I understand that, law firms are competitive businesses and they don't want to say we tried this and it didn't really work. But if there was a way that we could all share those lessons more, we'd all get a lot further, a lot faster, rather than all the individual players making the same mistakes and reinventing the same wheels.
I think that's really interesting about like the shiny new thing as well, because that was one of my questions about law firms and their mentalities, and how I know you've spoken before about how a lot of it is to do with the PR with legal tech, but also in terms of like resourcing and thinking that they can get their legal tech out of the box and straight away use it without training lawyers. I was going to ask a little bit about kind of resourcing and how you think going forward, do you think there'll be more no-code solutions so lawyers won't have to have loads of training to use products?
I think definitely we're seeing it already, is that the tools are getting better and better and better, and it's not just within legal technology in general. You know, I can now build a website using one of the many sites out there that would allow me to do one using templates, whereas 15, 20 years ago I would have had to pay, you know, someone to build me a website from the bottom up. So there's lots of no-code platforms and applications nowadays, low code and no code, coming through. The problem we still have, though, is that the lawyers have chargeable hour targets, clients. So when do they find the time to set up these type of tools? And until a law firm really addresses that, there's no point in thinking, oh, well, if we buy this tool and we allow our lawyers to go off and just have access to it, that suddenly it's going to miraculously be used. Because if you've got a client going, is my deal being done? Where's my deal? And you've got a partner saying to a junior lawyer, where's the answer to this? Where is this deal up to? Them automating a contract or building a workflow using the tool that they're not going to get rewarded for, it's not going to go on their chargeable hours target, they're not going to get a bonus at the end of the year, it's going to go to the bottom of the pile, and it'll keep going to the bottom of the pile. It's that thing that always doesn't get done.
Thank you. In terms of, because I know with legal technology, there's a lot of talk about document automation and sort of legal technology helping the processes involved in law. In terms of like the other side of it, like the intelligence and kind of feeding in data to predict outcomes for cases, how do those two areas sort of stack up against each other? And is one sort of progressing more than the other at the moment?
So, yes, I think tools such as document automation, workflow, electronic signatures, what I refer to as like the triaging tools, which is where instructions come in from a client to a law firm and they decide which team it goes to, where it goes to, collecting that and collecting the data, and feeding that back. Checklists, they all come under, let's say, like improvement of processes and that sort of thing. And they are there, they are tried and tested and available to be used, and the law firms just need to obviously take the time to decide which ones to buy, how to piece them together, and how to apply them. The tools out there, such as predictive, that allow things like predictive analytics. The problem, they're not as advanced at all, not because they don't exist, but more because of issues around the data being available freely in the public domain, that we could apply technology to look at things, to pull out patterns, and that's all you're doing. You're looking at large data sets to say, what are the commonality, and pull that back. So yeah, really early stages of those type of tools. A lot of it is around not being able, in the UK, is about not being able to get full access to the information that's out there anyway. We don't have great free reporting of judgments in the UK, and there's questions that people need to be asking around that a bit more, and there's a lot of great people doing some great work in that area. But then also in terms of regulation of those kind of things, could you rely on them? I think it's a hugely exciting area, and I think when people get scared of it, we just need to make sure that we're always still talking about the tech-enabled lawyer rather than, so it's I would rather go to a lawyer and say, what's my chances of winning this case? And they type in 5 kind of things about my case and go, well, based on all of the past cases that have happened, this says you've got between a 60 to 80% chance. However, because of and then the human talks about, because of all these other things that are different, my advice would be, and your circumstance, I might have a high risk appetite and loads of money for legal fees. I might not have much time. There's so many more human things that we need to consider. But having that rather than just one trainee go and spend 1 hour researching previous cases, I would rather my lawyer had the access to those tools than not. But yeah, so really early stage for predictive analytics tools, but very exciting.
Thank you. My final question is just some advice in general. In terms of students that are interested, and they know now that they're interested in pursuing legal technology, but also for those that do want to be lawyers or general lawyers, how can they prepare for this environment where legal technology will probably rise and become even more common?
Yeah, I think you're already better prepared than some of the lawyers that have been in practice for 40 years because you're around technology every day and you're used to using technology and are comfortable with it. So it's just having that curiosity, that keen interest. There's lots of groups out there you can join now. Look at legal hackers groups. Obviously, within your universities, there's societies being set up. If one doesn't exist, set up one yourself. Lots of talks out there, lots of publications that you can read, videos to watch. So yeah, you're in a fortunate position. And I think when you do get into your law firms, just always keep that thing in your mind of, did I go to law school to do this? And if you think it's kind of, this isn't challenging me, this isn't that bit of my brain that I wanted to be applying, this is admin. Just think, is there a better way of doing it? And you don't have to look up legal tech. Don't Google legal tech to help me do X, Y, Z. Just look up tech, because other industries have automation, better automation. Other industries have predictive analytics. So just always keep in your mind, is there a better way to do this? Did I go to law school to do it? And you'll probably come up with some great solutions yourself that you can suggest to the rest of your colleagues.
That's really interesting. Thank you so much for joining me and for your time. We look forward to welcoming you to the Legal Technology panel at the Law Summit in February.
Can't wait.
Thank you.